Everyone talks about freedom. Every government promises it, every brand sells it, but very few people ever stop to ask, what is freedom really? Because if your freedom depends on money, then it was never freedom to begin with. It was permission, and permission can be revoked. Modern freedom is the most profitable illusion ever created. You're told you can choose your career, your beliefs, your lifestyle, but every one of those choices is bound by the invisible gravity of money. You don't decide what to do, you decide what you can afford. You don't decide what to believe, you believe what keeps you secure. You don't decide where to live, you live where your salary allows. You call it free will. But it's economic will, a simulation of choice inside financial limits designed by others. And here's the part no one talks about. The system doesn't need to take your freedom, it just needs to make you believe you have it. That belief is enough to keep you productive, obedient, and endlessly chasing the next upgrade. Because the more convinced you are that you're free, the less likely you are to question who's holding the leash. Let's trace where this illusion begins. It starts with a simple idea. Money equals freedom. Work hard, earn more, buy your independence. That's the myth that powers the machine. But in reality, the more money you chase, the more time you trade. And time is the only thing you can't replace. So the paradox is this. You spend your life sacrificing freedom in the name of earning it. You don't buy time, you rent it back from the system at a higher price. If you feel that truth hitting somewhere deep, pause for a moment and follow rich logic. Because here, we don't talk about success. We talk about the architecture of control. Let's go deeper. Money was never meant to set you free. It was designed to organize obedience. In ancient civilizations, power was visible. Kings, empires, armies. You knew who ruled you. Today, power is abstract. It flows through contracts, credit scores, and currencies. You can't see it, but you serve it every day. You wake up to earn it. You measure your worth by it. You sacrifice your youth for it. Money doesn't serve humans anymore. Humans serve money's momentum. Think about it. We created money as a tool. Then the tool became a system. Then the system became a god. It punishes, rewards, commands. It decides who eats, who builds, who dreams. And like any god, it demands faith. The economy only works because you believe in it. The dollar only has value because you collectively agree that it does. If everyone stopped believing, the system would collapse overnight. That's not freedom, that's religion. Only this time, the altar is a paycheck. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Money doesn't buy freedom. It buys access to comfort inside captivity. It lets you upgrade your prison cell. Nicer walls, softer. Bed, better view. But you're still inside the same structure. A system that defines your value by output and your identity by income. The more you earn, the tighter the invisible leash becomes. Because now, you have more to lose. And that's how the system wins. Not by force, but by fear of loss. People will protect their illusion of freedom long after they've lost the real thing. They'll defend the very structures that exploit them because they can't imagine life without the illusion. Look at how society defines success. More possessions, more visibility, more control. But every new layer of comfort comes with another layer of dependency. You buy convenience and lose resilience. You buy luxury and lose perspective. You buy freedom and end up financed. That's the hidden formula of modern economics. Comfort as control. If this message resonates, like this video and subscribe to Rich Logic. Because this isn't about rebellion, it's about reality. And reality is the one investment most people avoid. Let's talk psychology. The human brain wasn't designed for freedom, it was designed for survival. Freedom requires awareness, but survival only requires reaction. That's why most people prefer predictable misery over uncertain liberation. The system knows this. It sells fear to keep you safe, safe enough not to evolve. You call it stability, they call it containment. Money owns you in three ways: through time, fear, and meaning. First, time. You trade your hours for numbers on a screen. Those numbers then buy back fragments of joy. That's not earning, that's exchanging existence. Second, fear. The fear of losing what little you have keeps you from questioning how much you deserve. You call it responsibility, they call it compliance. Third, meaning. You attach your identity to what you earn, so that questioning money feels like questioning yourself. That's why people will defend a toxic system, because it props up their fragile sense of worth. But here's what billionaires understand that most never will: money is not value, it's velocity. It moves, it circulates. It's a current, not a destination. The rich don't serve money, they direct its flow. The poor think in terms of possession. The rich think in terms of motion. That's why freedom isn't about what you own. It's about what you can move, without fear. And yet, the world trains you to do the opposite: to hold, to hoard, to accumulate. That's not freedom, that's emotional taxation. You spend your life protecting things you don't even love because the system taught you that letting go means losing status. But the truth is, ownership is the most elegant form of control ever invented. The more you own, the more the system owns you. Because now your freedom depends on maintaining what it gave you. And the moment you stop playing by its rules, it takes everything back. If you're still listening, you've already stepped outside the illusion. So take a moment and follow rich logic. Because understanding this is the first step to real independence: mental, emotional, and financial. Now let's talk about the next layer: digital freedom. Technology promised liberation, it delivered surveillance. You post your thoughts freely, but every word becomes data. You move through cities freely, but every step is tracked. You consume information freely, but every click shapes the next belief fed to you. The internet didn't give you freedom. It gave you the illusion of infinite choice inside an algorithmic cage built from your own behavior. The modern prison has no walls. It has Wi-Fi. Governments don't need to censor anymore. They just flood the feed. When everything demands attention, nothing gets questioned, and attention is the new currency of control. Money is no longer paper, it's perception. The rich buy your time through screens now. You think you're consuming content, they're consuming you. But here's the twist: the system doesn't hate freedom, it just monetizes it. They sell you self-expression through platforms, self-identity through brands, self-worth through followers. And every time you express yourself, you feed the machine more data to control you better. Freedom repackaged as entertainment, rebellion repackaged as lifestyle, individuality repackaged as algorithm. Here's the part that surprises even those who think they're awake. The system doesn't just own your labor, it owns your attention span, your narrative, and your future desires. You don't even decide what to want anymore. You're guided toward what's profitable for others. That's the final stage of ownership, when control no longer needs chains because it operates through consent. You believe you're free, so you maintain your own prison. If you're starting to see how deep this goes, like this video and subscribe to Rich Logic. Because once you understand the structure, you can begin to move differently, quietly, intelligently, independently. Let's close with the truth nobody wants to hear. Freedom isn't something you're given, it's something you subtract. You don't gain freedom by adding more money, possessions, or titles. You gain it by removing everything that makes you dependent. Freedom is subtraction, not accumulation. The illusion of freedom is seductive because it's convenient. True freedom is terrifying because it's silent. It means walking away from systems of comfort that most people would rather die inside of. It means realizing that wealth doesn't buy you out of the matrix. It just gives you a penthouse inside it. But consciousness? That's the real exit. So next time someone says, money can't buy happiness, remember, it was never supposed to. It was created to buy obedience. And the only way to break that contract is to stop selling your soul for the illusion of freedom. If this message reached something inside you, like this video, subscribe to Rich Logic, and share it with someone who still confuses wealth with worth. Because the richest people in the world aren't those who own the most. They're the ones who need the least. Money doesn't own you unless you forget who you are without it. And real freedom begins the moment you stop renting your soul to the system.